Alexa, set a reminder to subscribe to that one guy. Hey guys, welcome to my playthrough of BabyFace by Sample Reality. I was just looking for games to play, and this one popped out at me because it's one of those interactive visual novels, right? Actually, I'm not even sure if it's visual. I think it might be just text. I don't know, but I looked in the comment section, and look who it is. Right? There he is. And he gave it a good summary review here. And I was like, well, if he thinks it's good, then it has to be. There's going to be a lot of reading, so if that's not your thing, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Audio test. Oh, holy shit. All right. Yeah, that's an audio test. My God. Dropped that about 30 decibels. No. I can wait for you until you're ready. I'll stay here until the end of time. All right, that's much easier on the ears. Yes. I hear the jagged gasp too. Endless heaving that slices through my sleep. I wake again, shivering and alone. Oh man. I've got PTSD of waking up over and over again. I'll put a link to Sleeping Rules if you don't understand what I'm talking about. BabyFace. Oh, it's the title screen. Interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and lower it just a bit more. That's good there. About. BabyFace is written and coded by Mark Sample. Best characterized as Southern Gothic. Gotcha. I'm not going to read anymore because it looked like spoilers. And we're going to play it. Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. The week after Mom died, I showed up at Dad's unannounced. He's holding up okay. The house is tidy, he's shaved and dressed. The same Old Spice he's worn for decades hangs in the air. I leave my shoes at the door and put on the N95. Street noise filters in through the breezeway. Shoe boxes are all over the kitchen table. N95, huh? Does your dad have some kind of communicable disease? What's this, Dad? I ask. There must be 24 boxes piled on the table. He grins, presumably like, eh. Photographs, kiddo. You remember real photos, don't you? I never realized how many pictures your mother took. All these pictures. She must have been keeping them from me. Most of them I've never even seen before, he says. He scoops out a stack of photographs. It seems random the way he grabs them. Just a haphazard collection of old memories. I think about my own photos. They only exist on screens and in the cloud. Nothing you can touch. Nothing you can pass on. He hands me a few photos. Okay. Our secret swing. Rockabye. BabyFace's house. 19. Class portrait. I guess we'll start with the secret swing. Old Polaroids, all labeled in Mom's distinctive handwriting. I remember birthday cards with those loops and curves, letters in college, newspaper clippings she'd send me with funny little sticky notes attached. Your mother took that, Dad says. She took all of these, he adds, waving at the boxes with a shaky hand. Almost like shooing away flies. I don't even remember this swing, he grumbles. He grabs the picture from me. Uh-oh. It's like a descent. It's a wooden rocking chair, strangely aglow from something out of frame. It's old, ancient even. I can almost hear the creak. I don't recognize the rocker or the attic. Dad, where is this? I ask. Nowhere, kiddo. That's just nowhere. He snatches the photo. Uh-oh. BabyFace's house. The house is familiar. I walked by it every day when I was a kid, on my way to grade school. Everyone called it The BabyFace house. Uh-oh. No one could say why. It always looked run down and empty. I grasp at half-remembered neighborhood rumors. Someone lived there? A shut-in? I hand the old photo back to my dad. Oh man, he even looks crazy. Who's this? I ask. Dad, harumphs. That's your mom's old flame. She used to date him, you know, in high school. People didn't much like that relationship. You jealous, Dad? I'm teasing him. I mean to laugh, but it comes out as a nervous giggle. He glares at me. She chose me, he says. JK, Dad, JK. I hand the picture back to him. Listen, kiddo, Dad says. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to kick you out. I've got a lot to do. He gestures towards the kitchen table, strewn with boxes and photographs. But I protest. He cuts me off. I'm doing fine. You don't need to keep checking up on me. He ushers me to the door, shoes on and mask off, and that's that. Water break? Thursday, 11:30 a.m. I forget about the photos. Dad does not. A few days later, he calls me at work. A few days later, he calls me at home? What? Where I've worked since March. Okay. These photos, he sighs. So many. It's like your mom never left. Can you come over tonight? There's something I want to show you. Something I don't understand. Sure, I tell him. I'll come over this evening. Thursday, 7 p.m. The rest of the day goes as days go. Meetings, reports, doom scrolling in the background. What does that mean? What is doom scrolling? Search DuckDuckGo. Doom scrolling is the act of spending an excessive amount of screen time devoted to the absorption of dystopian news. I figured... Oh, you guys can't really... Oh, yeah, you guys can see that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people do that. I don't. When I get to Dad's, he meets me at the door and waves me in. He looks tired, wan, ashen. Huh? I don't even have a chance to do my shoes or other things. Dad hovers close to my face and I smell something sour on his breath, like milk gone bad. He starts right away. Look, he says, I didn't tell you the whole story the other day. That photo of her old boyfriend. It's BabyFace. That's BabyFace. Dad produces the picture of the old house. 1 minute his hand is empty, the next he's holding the picture. Yeah, he says, the same BabyFace who lives here. And that changed to the same BabyFace who lived here, he corrects himself. That house you and your friends were always so afraid of. He and your mom, well, they go way back. He always looked so young, see? That's why everyone called him BabyFace. It started, I don't know, when he was a kid and the name just kind of stuck. BabyFace had strange notions, though. What do you mean, Dad? I ask. Dad sighs as he searches for words. Strange notions, you know? Tinfoil hat kind of notions. Like chemtrails, spiked drinking water, the whole shebang. And he had a thing about being looked at. They say he started wearing a mask 20, 30 years ago. A mask so you couldn't see his face. And then BabyFace started staying home, never going out. Dad hands me 2 pictures. It's the same person, Dad says, decades apart. I study the pictures more closely. I ask the obvious. Why didn't he want to be looked at? He's hot! Dad counters with an icy glare. He wasn't all that, he says, but he sure was vain. BabyFace. He thought looking at a thing uses it up. The more people see your face, the more it's used. The more it's used up. Whoa, okay, that's like a whole different level of crazy, isn't it? I've never even this is like something I would never even consider, but man, I guess he's kind of right, you know, in the same way that maybe using the word love so many times kind of, I wouldn't say removes its value, but it certainly reduces it, right? Like if I tell you I loved you every day, you know, by the 100th day, you'd be like, ah, yeah, you know? I mean, if you do that, then you're a dick, but you understand what I'm saying. I didn't know your mom was still in touch with him. Is there going to be... No? No more words? Okay. Babyface in gas mask. Episcopi... I can't really read that second word. Babyface started masking up, says Dad. At first it was a bandana, but the masks got more complicated over time. Surgical masks. Bandages, like the Invisible Man. Then, for years, a gas mask. He stayed shut in that house for years. No visitors, no friends, nobody. Except your mom, I guess. She still saw him. She had to leave, or she had to have, to take these. He points to the photos in my hand. I'm assuming something's going to happen here. That phrase echoes in my mind. Looking at a thing uses it up. Yeah, that's probably one of the craziest things I've ever heard anyone say. He locked himself inside that house. Many people didn't even know if he was alive or dead. I study the caption. Dad, what does Episcopi Vagantes mean? I didn't know Latin, and as far as I knew, neither had Mom. Hell if I know, Dad snaps. I never saw this photo in my life until yesterday. Well, it's a good thing we have DuckDuckGo. Episcopi Vagantes are those persons consecrated in a clandestine or irregular way. As Christian bishops outside the structures and canon law of the established churches, those regularly consecrated but later excommunicated and not in communion with any generally recognized diocese, and those who have in communion with them small groups that appear to exist solely for the bishop's sake. Okay, so it's a new religious movement? I guess? It's Latin for wandering bishops. It doesn't really explain anything, but I had no idea she took these, your mom. No idea when or how, but these aren't the photos I wanted to show you. This is what I wanted you to see. Dad's voice is shaky, and I reach out to touch his shoulder. He shrinks back. He doesn't even seem to realize it. Then he whispers in a hollow voice. Ah, these shoe boxes. They're cardboard coffins for her secret life. I don't know if Dad's talking to me or himself. Look, he says. I found this on a few photographs. I don't know what it means. Dad hands me a sticky note. Uh-oh. Fascium larva. Oh, hold on. I got it, guys. I got it. Oculi. Rictu. Spiritum. Abomination animal. He'll never release me. All right, hold on. We got DuckDuckGo for these things. Let's see. Translate. Mask, face mask. That's what it means. Thanks, DuckDuckGo. I sound out the Latin and shiver. Dad looks away. The note was on these photos, he says. He hands me 4 pictures. They're labeled, but I don't recognize the writing. It's not Mom's. The 4 photos are duplicates, but each slightly different, but each slightly damaged. In each one, the eyes are scratched out. Ugh. Never watch me watch you forever. Okay. BabyFace, BabyFace, BabyFace. Holy shit. Alright, I don't know why that scared me. I think about totemic effigies, ritualistic blinding, Oedipus Rex, except the scratched out eyes seem to see me, seem to see through me. It's not blindness so much as a different kind of sight. I feel hollowed out, like some strange fruit devoured by maggots from within. Dad, I choke out. What's going on? What is all this? I gesture vaguely at the photos, the room, the world. I don't know, kiddo. I really don't. Dad collapses onto the chair at the head of the kitchen table. They keep me up at night. The questions I have. I thought you might make some sense of it. You were always so close to your mom. Dad, I don't recognize this side of Mom. The strange writing, the pictures, this baby face? I shudder, thinking about the crumbling brick house I scurried past all those years ago, and the solitary man inside. A thought occurs to me. There's a fly on my screen. Stinking flies, Dad suddenly shouts. Everywhere I look, there's stinking flies. I only see the one droning about the kitchen table, but Dad's waving his hand like there's a swarm. I gotta take care of this, Dad says. These flies. He mutters something about spraying, about fogging, about cleaning up everything. Dad grabs my elbow and escorts me to the door, like I was a little kid who stayed too long. For the second time in a week, my father kicks me out, and I leave him alone with those photographs. I realize something. He never answered my question. When did BabyFace die? Water break? Water break? I think about this man and Mom as I get in my car. Stay hydrated. The ride home is gray and wet. I've driven these roads 1,000 times. What I used to think of as home is just a place my dad lives, surrounded by someone else's inscrutable memories. A stranger. On a whim, I decide to pass by the BabyFace house. It's still there, you know. It's not far from Dad. Walking distance, really. But tonight, in the gloaming, it feels farther. The crumbling brick ruin floats in the foggy distance, a crimson phantom that keeps its distance, no matter how close I approach. And suddenly, physics acquiesces. Physics acquiesces. DuckDuckGo. Pronounce. Oh, whoops. Acquiesce. Thank you. Physics acquiesce. As the house moors itself in one place, and there it is, right in front of me. I pull up in front of the house. The rain tapers off, but the change of weather barely registers with me. I sit there, engine idling, and stare at the BabyFace house. Kudzu vines choke the poplar and magnolia trees on either side. The stories about the house come back to me, clearer now. Walking home from school, my girlfriends and I always avoided the cracks in the sidewalk. A kid's game. Step on a crack, break your mother's back. But we shared an unspoken rule that the game didn't apply here. We would hurry past the old brick house, paying no mind to cracks. We would run past the old brick house, as if for our lives. Something far worse than a broken back awaited anyone who lingered in front of the BabyFace house. or so kids at school whispered. Wipers? Turn wipers off? Wait, words are disappearing. No, wait, no, that's not fair. One time forgot for summer fights every morning with mom. I went to wear. Anyway, I stayed late and walked home by myself. One time forgotten for some reason fights every morning, mom home. Wait, man. Hold on. Wait. Look at that. The genius. I stayed home after school for some reason. I probably sassed back to a teacher. It must have been 4th or 5th grade. I was getting into fights every... Oh no, that's it. Now that I think about it, it was raining like today. Something impish bloomed in me when I saw the BabyFace house. All those times we ran past it, ignoring the cracks. What childish girls we were, that day, all alone. Dusk coming on, the cracks caught my eye. I would not run this time. Step. I stomped on a crack. On the crack. Break. I double stomped both feet on another crack. Your mother's back. I pounded all my fury at Mom on a set of spidering cracks. I noticed then where I was, at the head of the walkway leading to the front porch of the BabyFace house. Are these windshield wipers broken? I'm gonna refresh. Oh, cool. I noticed then where I was, at the head of the walkway leading to the front porch of the BabyFace house. A short walk up the crooked sidewalk and I'd be at the front door. I glanced up at the house. The kudzu wasn't so bad back then. I can't be sure, and it's been so long I'd even forgotten. So long to even forget, but at the moment, a flicker of movement in the upstairs window caught my eye. I looked up and saw a bandaged face completely wrapped in loose gauze. The yellowed bandages hung limp like pallid strips of flesh from the figure's face. The reflection rippled in the window panes. He tapped on the glass and slowly wagged his finger at me. A warning. I ran. I tore down the sidewalk faster than I've ever run, fled down the street, past Mrs. Newman's, past the Paynes. Safety. The end of the block. I remember getting home and pretending everything was normal. I needn't have. Mom and Dad were still at work. By the time they came home, I'd convinced myself everything was fine. There was no bandaged man, no taps at the window, no warnings. When they asked how my day was, I just shrugged. The rain starts up and still I'm idling on the street, lost in thought until I'm not. A tap on my window. I look up and see a uniform. A uniformed cop. I glanced in the rear view mirror and there's a patrol car parked behind me. How did I not notice that? He gestures to roll down my window, a circling motion with his index finger. "Are you lost, miss?" he asks. "No, sir. Respectful eye contact, but not too much eye contact." I realize I'm clenching the steering wheel and force myself to relax. I answer, just remembering something from years ago. So I can click 3 different things. I'm gonna go ahead and click on force myself. The color slowly returns to my hands. I grew up around here, an explanation for my presence in this place. I answer, just remember something from years ago. The color slowly returns to my hands. I grew up around here, an explanation for my presence in this place. I half expect him to ask for my papers, my license and registration, but he simply draws. "Well, you should move along. It's late and I'm sure you have somewhere else to be." He nods toward the BabyFace house. Staring at a place like that, you'll get nightmares. I say my thanks, watch him walk through the rain, back to his patrol car, and pull away. Wondering if he was offering advice or a warning. Water break? I don't know how, but I'm back at the house, the Babyface house. The attic. I've never been there, but I know it's the attic. 3 lines of graffiti slowly fill the bare brick walls, pale letters drawn before my eyes. I cannot blink. Disjecta membra. Dominus muscarum. Non silba sed anthar. These 3 lines repeat, going on and on. A fly buzzes somewhere in the attic. That's your cell phone. Friday. I slam awake. What time is it? Where am I? Oh my god, my mind is so muddled. The fly is still buzzing. That's your phone. Friday, 3:37 a.m., by the way. It's my cell. My cell! I'm at home. I'm in bed and my phone vibrated itself off my nightstand. I reach down and grasp for it. So many missed calls, everyone from Dad. I pick up. Your mom, he starts, breathlessly. She's not gone. I know it. She's not gone. Dad, I interrupt. What are you talking about? Your mom isn't gone, he nearly sobs. She's... He can't get it out. Slow down. Take a breath, I tell him. Dad's voice cracks. I can barely hear him. He has her. I know it. She's not gone. She didn't die. He has her and won't let her go. Babyface has your mother. His quiet anguish cuts through my foggy head. Dad, I say, remember? We buried Mom? She passed on. No, he sobs over the line. He has her. You have to get her. You have to find her. Go to Babyface's house and get her. I don't recognize this man. He's as strange to me as my mother now. I'm coming over, Dad. Just calm down and I'll be there soon. Really soon. We'll talk about this. I'm on my way. Thank God it's not raining. Friday, 3:57 a.m. I'm back in my car. The rain has stopped and it's just dark. No rain, just darkness. Driving to a stranger's house. How we are haunted by the houses of our childhood. How unfamiliar they are to us. When we return, yet you never forget, do you? You never really forget. The Babyface house. I thought I'd forgotten, but I'd not. That ghastly figure wagging a spindly outstretched finger at me. You never forget. Another memory flares up, unbidden. I wasn't the only one. It was a slumber party, a few months after that day, in the dark. We're gossiping before bed, the 4 of us girls nestled in a heap of blankets, pillows, and stuffed animals. Want to hear something scary? One of the girls asks. I can't remember who. She smiled slyly. Something true? Last week, she said. I walked by the Babyface house and I saw him. Upstairs, she said, staring down at me. He had a hood over his head. A big white hood with soles cut out for his eyes. Metal gear. I don't know. He pointed at me, she said. I can't. There's like something in my throat, and that's the reason for the water breaks. And it's forcing me to talk in a more deeper tone. He pointed at me, she said, and did that thing with his finger, you know, like, come here. She acted this out, and we all laughed nervously. Then it happened. What happened? You won't believe me. We'll believe you. But we didn't. Don't jump scare me. Not then. She whispered the rest of her story. There in the slumber party dark. He took off his hood and smiled at me. And he wasn't a man. He was a boy. Just a boy. Please don't. Suddenly I'm there. The present. A stranger's home. Not Dad's, the other one. The Babyface house. Only Babyface isn't a stranger, is he? I'm not sure what I'm doing. I told Dad I was on my way, but I ended up here, going to one house and arrived at another instead. The story of my life. How? How's that the story of your life? Last time the Babyface house hovered like a mirage. Now it's not even visible until I pull in front. No street lights, no porch lamps. I park in front of the house again. Deja vu. In the silence, the house sits empty. I find myself on the front porch of the Babyface house, standing before the dismal front porch of the Babyface house. At the head of the walkway that leads to the dismal front porch of the Babyface house. Stepping onto the cracked cement sidewalk that goes to the head of the walkway that leads to the dismal front porch of the Babyface house. Getting out of the car and stepping onto the cracked cement sidewalk that goes to the head of the walkway that leads to the dismal front porch of the Babyface house. As if in a dream, getting out of the car and stepping onto the cracked cement sidewalk that goes to the head of the walkway that leads to the dismal front porch of the Babyface house. I find myself on the dismal front porch of the Babyface house. I find myself staring at the heavy wooden door to the Babyface house. Reaching for the knocker of the heavy wooden door to the Babyface house. Grabbing the dark bronze doorknob instead of the knocker of the heavy wooden door to the Babyface house. I find myself turning the dark bronze doorknob of the heavy wooden door to the Babyface house. The door is unlocked. The door creaks open. The house is dark, yet familiar. Less than an hour ago I dreamed myself here, though I can no longer remember details. Words scrawled on walls, words I cannot recall. The foyer is full of stale air, flush with an undercurrent of fungal effluvium. In the dim light I barely make out a stairway heading up. Above, I hear a faint moaning. I go up. However ruined the Babyface house appears on the outside, it's worse inside. Oh, fuck. The entire... Shut up! Just be quiet. The entire second floor has been gutted. In an empty shell, an unfinished story. Dust chunks of plaster, thick braids of rope, bricks, wood, indiscriminate piles of junk. Weird angles jutting out like cracked and yellow bones overflowing an ossuary. The moaning is louder towards the center of the space. Jaundiced moonlight trickles in through a web-clotted window. There's a rocking chair there, facing the window, the source of the inhuman blubbering. You're so distracting. I creep past the strange piles and make my way towards the rocking chair. Whether the moaning means pain or pleasure, I cannot say. Rockabye, I think. Rockabye baby, I think. Then I think of my dad all alone with those pictures. He believes my mom is here. I look around again, eyes lingering on a jumble of disarticulated angles in the corner. A vestige of peeling tissue here and there on the heap seems to smolder in the dull moonlight. She's not here. I'll have to tell him she's passed. The moaning ceases. I wish. The way the calls of katydids cease when you get too close. Thank you for stopping. My mom, she was beholden to something here. I know that now. A witness to something with a miserly dominion over her. In the rocking chair, I see a dark, throbbing mass. The stench of decay hangs in the air, mildew, burnt rubber, and dead things. The mass shifts, and I see it is human, shaped. A man shrouded in black and gas-masked. The leather mask is cracked and blistered. Single cartridge, a relic from the trenches of Somme. It dangles listlessly from the hooded head. Was this BabyFace? This is BabyFace. The hooded thing rasps. I grab the mask and try to wrench it free. The visor lifts with a sickly sticking sound. Suddenly the mask snaps back in place. My hand slips away, covered in a greasy film. I reach for the mask again. BabyFace's hands reach up to the shield, its face. Fibrous white claws at the end of the wraith-like arms. I bat them away and thrust my left hand forward one more time. I clutch the mask in a death grip and tear it off. A wet plunging sound fills the lifeless attic, like an eldritch suction cup giving way, followed by BabyFace's jagged heaving. The writhing thing in front of me takes my breath away. Here's BabyFace. The black robe has fallen away, exposing an old man's withered body, waxen and white, long bony arms and a sunken chest. He is naked under the robe, a pallid worm. But his face... it is a baby's face. The body is ancient and wasted, but that head, it's a plump baby's face, round and dimpled. We're just roasting this guy. It's not fair. You showed up at his house and then you roast him to his face. The wretched cherub has wisps of downy hair and a toothless smile. Only its sallow pallor betrays the truth. The baby's face is the color of a grub seeing the light of day for the first time. The deep, jagged breaths slow to a harsh rasping, which resolves a series of gurgles. BabyFace cocks its chubby round head to the side, as if trying to understand what's happening. BabyFace stares at me with bulging red-rimmed eyes. I stare back. It opens its mouth, as if to disgorge the last of its mother's milk. A single fly creeps gingerly out of BabyFace's pouting mouth. It lingers on the fish belly white lips for a moment, then buzzes away. BabyFace speaks, a primeval croak, low and brittle. Ew, it says. Look like her. I nearly gag at the sight of this monster, a loathsome ravager of dreams. Here in this decrepit attic, it rocks away in its chair, hoarding its rotting piles of the past, like a crow that's plucked the finest fruit only to drop it on the ground. What did it steal of my mom? What did it steal from my childhood? How many beautiful bodies withered under its masked countenance? I fight back my revulsion, that involuntary urge to look away. BabyFace speaks again, the words coming from its chubby round face in staccato gasps. You look like her. Again, I recoil at this. What is it? Declaration? Accusation? Examination? My arms are goose flesh, and I feel the weight of its gaze. Suddenly, I'm aware of something like massive atmospheric pressure that's always been there, just invisible. Until now. My mom may not be here anymore, but I feel the weight just as she must have. How dare this creature look at me? BabyFace fusses in the rocker and I grab its dimpled chin and hold still its grotesque head to meet its abject gaze, unmasked and unwelcomed. Looking at a thing uses it up, my dad had said. The more people see your face, the more it's used up. It must end. And I cannot blink. And looking at a thing uses it up. I will stay here, looking at BabyFace until the end of time if I have to, because looking at a thing uses it up. That's a lot of flies. That's the end of BabyFace? Did you kill him? You're staring at him because you want to kill him. Oh. Interesting. So can I do different things? Okay, so I went through it again just to make sure there wasn't anything new. And from what I understand, there is new stuff, but I'd have to go through it again maybe and find secrets. I'm hit take me home. How do I go home? I'm trying to understand the overall message of BabyFace. It certainly has one of the more creepier things I've ever heard, which is that the more you are exposed to something, the more it's used up. It's definitely a true statement, and that's what makes it so scary. Like, let's say you're this really gorgeous, beautiful person, and you're always told constantly that you're beautiful. After like what, your 100th time, you're just like, yeah, I know. Tell me something I don't know. And that has consequences both ways, right? So it just seems to work, and that's why it's so creepy. But overall, I don't really understand the message. From what I understand, BabyFace isn't even a bad guy, right? He just went kind of crazy. Like he just didn't want anyone to use his face. So he put a mask on. He's crazy, don't get me wrong, but it's not like he hurt the protagonist's mother in any way, not that I'm aware of. I can't even remember if it was implied or anything. I don't think it was. So we just go to his house and we stare at his face and he can barely breathe, and we're just completely determined to kill this man by staring at him. Because what? Why? I don't understand. I'm sure maybe it's fleshed out a bit more when you find the secret stuff, but as of right now, I don't super get it. Is it a visual novel? Do the flies make it a visual novel? Technically, everything is a visual novel, right? Unless it's an audiobook. The photograph of BabyFace is not a real person. It's an AI-generated portrait courtesy of this person does not exist. That's interesting. What do you got? So this is not a real person? That's not a real person? How does this AI work? What happened to your hat? Siri, set a reminder to subscribe to that one guy on YouTube. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you on the next one. Maybe I'll do another novel, but I think I'm getting sick, so we'll see. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.